I didn't think the pain from the shingles rash would affect simple, everyday tasks like bathing, getting dressed, or even walking around. I was wrong. Though not everyone at risk will develop it, 99% of people over the age of 50 already have the virus that causes shingles, and it could reactivate at any time. I developed it, and the blistering rash lasted for weeks. Don't learn the hard way, like I did. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations. And I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened. And I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I've certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past. But those mistakes are between me and my wife. To her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position. I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am. For over 20 years, I have served the public. As a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims. That's who I am and have always been. This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends. And I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support. And I look forward to updating you very soon.
Mic drop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Saturday Morning Extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe. If you want to be part of the affairs of state this morning, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. That, of course, was California Congressman Eric Swalwell, who seems to have found himself in a bit of a pickle. Yes, a bit of a pickle. The San Francisco Chronicle and other publications like Politico and some of the others, they put a Friday night dump on Eric's, so to speak, on Eric Swalwell's political career, with the accusations that the accusations come from a gal that he has been involved in some nefarious sexual behavior. On today's program, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit later on, we're going to check in with Princess Diana. I can't wait for that, as always. And also, I can't wait to speak with a dear, dear friend of mine who I've invited on the program. He has a new movie coming out. And Dr. G, as he is known by millions and millions of people around the country, his name is Dr. Michael Guillen. He was a Harvard physics instructor for many years, also the ABC News science editor. Appeared many, many times on Good Morning America, 2020, Nightline, World News Tonight. Also hosted a weekly 1-hour primetime series for the History Channel, Where Did It Come From? And he's an international best-selling author, so many books, including one that I'm going through now, one of his books, just one of them, Let Creation Speak, but he has so many books. Believing is Seeing. A physicist explains how science shattered his atheism and revealed the necessity of faith. And others. So we will catch up with Dr. G, Michael Guillen, as the program rolls out today. Again, looking forward to catching up with Princess Diana, who was on with me during the weekday program and shared before any of this Swalwell stuff really broke. It was brewing, but hadn't broken. And she shared a theory about it, which I think is what is really going on. Leave it to Princess Diana to come up with the most amazing analysis. You will hear that later. I love the Swalwell video in that it is a classic, I didn't do it, I did something sort of explanation. I didn't do it, I did something. I didn't do it, I did something. The first part of the video, I didn't do it. The last part of the video, I did something, but it's between me and my wife. I didn't do it, I did something. So we shall see. You already have the Democrats fleeing from him like rats, demo rats, off of a sinking ship. The endorsements that he had garnered throughout his run for governor have been withdrawn, including that of Nancy Pelosi and others. Let us turn to how this Swalwell affect. By the way, before we do Armistice too, beautiful, 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 and I thank God that our astronauts have been returned to us safely. You know, I was thinking last night, those of us old enough to remember the space program. January 27th, 1967, I can just call it off the top of my head because I was so shaken up when we lost 3 astronauts in Apollo 1, when Gus Grissom, Ed Chafee, Gus Grissom, by the way, was just amazing. I was thinking about that last night during the splashdown of Armistice. You know, Gus Grissom nearly died on splashdown. He made it all the way back to Earth, but he almost drowned out there when he was, his capsule, this was back in the days of the Mercury program, was bobbing around in the ocean. And for a minute, he could have gone under as they were trying to extract him. And that was something. Of course, Gus Grissom, one of the astronauts that perished in one of the 3 in Apollo. And then I was thinking about the 2 disasters we had with the shuttle. And last night, to look at these 4 astronauts come back, one of them Canadian, the other 3 American, to Earth safely, it was just a moment of, to me, beauty and wonder and appreciation, because it truly is dangerous. This is not something that is for the faint of heart. It is dangerous. NASA can make it look easy when everything goes right. When it all goes wrong, it's terrible. And you look, we lost 2 crews during the 2 entire crews during the Challenger, of course. That's the one that was, I think, just so horrific for people, seared in their memory. The space shuttle, we lost 2 crews. We lost astronauts in the Apollo program. We almost had a catastrophe with Apollo 13. So to see what happened last night was just wonderful and beautiful. And these astronauts, while they stayed 10 days, what they did last night was advance the needle on our return to space as a nation. And Donald Trump did that. There's still some arguments about the NASA budget. There are people within the administration trying to cut it now and all of that, but we can get into all that. But I just want to be thankful that these astronauts came back. It was beautiful, beautiful to watch. And I'm so proud of NASA and just the effort that was undertaken to make this mission so flawless. Despite, the little toilet issue. And it wasn't the toilet issue, it was the water issue. But anyway, I'm going to have to scratch something that I had on today's show. We had prepared a bunch of quotes from Mrs. Gavin Newsom. She's been making quite the name of herself, but I don't think we're going to have time to get to it with everything else that's going on. So, let us go and begin our journey into the world of audio, and we have more than enough for 3 or 4 shows, but Let us go to a report from the very liberal CNN. It is I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break first because this is a 3-minute cut.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley. Okay, CNN's report on Eric Swalwell. This is how they broke the news in the overnight hours last night.
New tonight, CNN with exclusive reporting about Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Exclusive.
The Democrat has ascended in the governor's race there, and he's faced recent rumors on social media about sexual misconduct that he has denied. CNN's Pamela Brown and her team have spoken with 4 accusers, including a former staffer who went on camera to share her story. Pam, tell us what our investigators
4 accusers.
Well, John, we have spoken with 4 women who have various kinds of sexual misconduct claims against Congressman Swalwell, ranging from inappropriate messages and pictures to unwanted kissing and touching, and in one case, rape from a woman we spoke to on camera in shadow to protect her identity due to fear of professional retaliation. She is a former Swalwell staffer, and she says it began when she was 21 years old. There were 2 very serious sexual assault allegations she made, one in 2019 as a staffer, and the other from 2024 when she had left his office. She also described inappropriate messages and nude images with the congressman using Snapchat with disappearing messages. Now, after the first incident, where she said she woke up in his hotel room as a staffer, naked, after a night of heavy drinking, she told us about what she says happened several years later in 2024, after she had left his office. I want to warn you, what you're about to hear is graphic and disturbing.
Graphic. Disturbing.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019. I felt safe because I was established, I had a partner, I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person. After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom, and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening, of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning.
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room. I, for a moment, didn't even know I was in his hotel room. That's how intoxicated I was. And I called my mom, the only person I could think that could help me.
And we were able to corroborate that by speaking with friends and family she confided in, reviewing photos and screenshots of contemporaneous text messages. And we also reviewed a message from her medical provider the week after she received the pregnancy and STD tests, calling her a, quote, survivor.
Okay. All right. You know, it's a very serious charge. I have a question. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I have questions. So, you're 21 years old, and your boss gets you drunk, and you wake up in his hotel room naked, and it's not a cool situation. All right, I get that. Here's what I don't get. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, and I understand that this may be problematic, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Given that, that's what happened to you. Then you say, okay, 3 years later, 4 years later, I call the guy that did this to me. I call him because I feel better. I call him and say, let's go out for drinks. For drinks. The guy that did this to you. And then I have a partner now. So I'm just trying to imagine how all this works. You tell your partner who you're with now, oh, you know what? I'm going out for drinks. I asked the guy that did this to me before. I asked him if he wants, because I feel stronger now. You know, and I've kind of forgotten. I'm a little removed from it. How do you get removed from something that traumatic, number one? But I call the guy. I called the guy and asked him for drinks, and then we went bar hopping. We closed down one bar, and then we went to another bar. And you know what? Damn it, he did it again. I woke up naked in his hotel room. I don't remember anything. Wait a minute, I do remember something. I remember this. Flashes of me. Look, folks, I know we're supposed to believe everything that we're told. I get it, especially when it's concerning something this serious. And I'm not saying that this didn't happen, so don't get me wrong there. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying something here doesn't make sense to me. If it's that traumatic, why would you call the dude that did this to you before and say, well, I feel stronger now. Hey, Eric, let's go out for drinks. Well, my partner, oh yeah, I'm hooked up with somebody, but what the hell? Come on, let's you and me go out for drinks and party. And go close down the bar and get so intoxicated that I don't know what happened to me, except I do remember something, but I was naked again. What is going on here? We're coming back, don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Look, folks, I gotta just tell you one more time. I am not a fan. I am not a fan of Eric Swalwell. Haven't been since he emerged on the public scene. But I'm also not going to close my eyes because somebody that I don't like is facing allegations. And close my eyes to things that don't make sense to me. This is, again, the story, the exclusive interview by Pam Brown over at CNN and her team. And they interviewed 4 women. And this, again, let's just listen to this interview one more time.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019. I felt safe because I was established. I had a partner. I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person. After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom, and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
I remember the next day. I can see flashes of that evening, of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning.
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room. I, for a moment, didn't even know I was in his hotel room. That's how intoxicated I was. And I called my mom, the only person I could think that could help me.
All right. This young lady says when she was 21 years old, Eric Swalwell did some things to her, and she woke up naked in his room. Didn't know what. She woke up naked. She'd been apparently having some booze or something with Swalwell, and she woke up naked in his room when she was 21 years old. The year was 2019. So then she tells Pam Brown, 4 years after that, I felt safe. I had a partner. I felt safe. I felt, well, I'm established now. I felt safe. So I called Eric Swalwell. I called the guy who did this to me, left me naked in his hotel room after he did things to me, because I was far removed from it. 3 years is far removed. I was far removed from that. So I called him and said, hey, Eric, bro. Hey, dude, let's get together and go for drinks. To the dude that left me naked. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first thing. Put yourself in a guy situation. This guy had a sexual relationship with you. You say it's not consensual. Whatever, it wasn't. And then you don't hear from him. You didn't report it the first time. Nothing. And then a few years from then, one day he picks up the phone and it's this girl that he found hot enough to do something with. And she's on the phone saying, yo, dude, let's go for drinks. And he says, all right, let's do it, babes. She says, I felt safe. I had a partner at the time. Let's just examine that for a minute. Your partner, whoever your partner is, don't know whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, something other, whatever. Your partner says, hey, babes, where you going tonight? I'm going out with the dude that did something to me of a horrible sexual nature 3 years ago. I called him and I said, do you want to go out for drinks? And he said, yeah. So I'm going up. What time you coming home? I don't know. Don't clock me. I'm going out for drinks with the dude that did something to me. And your partner says, great idea. Why don't you do that? Or the alternative is, I'm going out for drinks with the dude that did something to me because I'm in a relationship and I feel safer, but I didn't tell my partner. And why wouldn't you? It's one or the other. Okay, so yeah, I'm buying that. Right. And then she says, I wanted to have a strictly professional relationship with him. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have strictly professional relationships with somebody by going to a bar and closing down one bar and going to another. But that does not sound like a professional relationship that I have ever had with anybody in my life. You're a young woman. You call a dude that supposedly did something sexual with you before that traumatized you. You're not traumatized anymore. You got a partner, but you want to have a strictly professional relationship with. So the way you kick off the strictly professional relationship is to go to a bar, close it down, then go to another bar, and lo and behold, guess what? You wake up naked again in his hotel. He did it again. And you wake up naked in his hotel room. Look, folks, okay, I know we're supposed to take every allegation seriously. I get it. I know. Women don't lie. I know. But damn, really? Are you seriously going to peddle this out here and think that nobody's supposed to... I can't believe I'm here trying to poke holes in the Eric Swalwell story, but this doesn't make sense to me at all. Nothing about it makes sense. She went to the hospital, she got checked out, she did the da-da-da. Okay. All right. Y'all tell me I'm just going to believe it, but I don't believe this. I don't believe it. I don't believe that we're getting when I say I don't believe it, I'm not saying I don't believe that something or not happened. I don't believe we're getting the full story here is what I don't believe. Just like I never believed it when Anita Clark said Clarence Thomas did all that stuff to her, and yet she kept following him from job to job to job to job. Because she was so traumatized, wasn't. And then all of a sudden, there's a pubic hair that ends up on a Coke can. I don't believe it the same way I didn't believe when Christine Ballsy, whatever her name, shows up at the Senate. When Kavanaugh is being confirmed and starts talking about when he was 13 years old, he took her up to a room or something and they drank beer and did something and something. And oh my gosh, isn't Kavanaugh a horrible guy? Because when he was a teenager, he actually tried to get some from a teenager. If we can believe that story. I didn't believe it then. Folks, something is wrong with this story. I'm not defending Swalwell as being a good guy. Because Swalwell, that little non-denial, I did something, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything, I did something. I didn't do anything, I did something. Please, my wife, forgive me. I didn't do anything, I did something. I'm not saying he didn't do anything, of course. You got multiple women, I'd like to hear what the others said, but if it's just he's sending them pics of his D or getting, punani pictures on the phone, I mean, damn, that's the age that we live in. Women and men use their phones to send punani and D pictures everywhere. It's not like it was in the 1950s. And if he's sending pics and asking women for nude pics and all that, okay, it's not cool. He's married. His wife is going to probably beat his ass. But, if that's what he did, and maybe he shouldn't be governor because he's asking for JJ pictures or for some punani pictures or he's sending out some D pictures. But don't come at me with this and pretend that everything is cool with this all of a sudden, because this story doesn't make sense to me at all. And Pam Brown did not push back on this woman and ask any of the questions that she should have been asking to make the story more believable. And I can't believe I'm sitting in a situation where it sounds like I'm defending Eric Swalwell. I will say this. If the Democrats want Swalwell out of the race, I want him in. If Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, like this guy and what's his face, Adam Schiff, all of a sudden say, oh, you gotta get out. And if Hakeem Jeffries is saying, you have to get out of the race now, because, that's the way Hakeem Jeffries speaks. You have to wait a year to get a sentence out of the guy. Anyway, if they all want Eric Swalwell out of the race, I want him in. We're going to take some phone calls when we get back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
People are on the phones. Let's quickly get to as many calls as we can take during this segment. Adam is calling, my man from Long Island. Adam, before you tell me what you want to talk about, let me just ask you a question. Are you buying this whole story from this Swalwell accuser woman?
Not the way you explained it. I ain't.
Oh, okay. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was getting ready to go in on, but when you switched it up, I said, "Nah, you're keeping it real." I'm not going to comment on that because you're right about that. Yeah.
Okay. So what's on your mind? I thought I see you wanted to talk about Melania Trump and her speech, and also the Wawa.
Well, I sent the email to your guy last Saturday. Nobody never sent me an email from you.
That was my bad.
Okay.
That was my bad. I totally. I'm gonna fix that after the show today. Be in touch.
Sir.
All right.
Yeah. But, I seen Melania get on there with that fake stuff she was talking about. You calling Miss Ghislaine Maxwell G, like you know her for a while. Come on now. Like, who are you tricking with that? You ain't tricking nobody. Everybody knows you was with those people. So.
I don't really. You calling the first lady a liar, Adam?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah, man.
No. Now, first of all, I have to be honest with everybody. I didn't watch the speech. I'm just like, I am so done with this Epstein stuff. I just kind of ignore it. I do. And it's bad. I know I'm supposed to watch everything, but there's certain things I just can't right now. Epstein, I can't. I'm too invested in this Swalwell thing at the moment. Oh, Adam, I so love your call. I'm going to catch up with you. I'll catch up with you.
All right.
Thank you. Let's go out to Denver and check in with John. John, you're up next. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bo. This is a complete honor. I want to say first, thank you for all those years with you and Rush together. Were awesome, and this is an honor just to say that. And I just want you to know that you're great. You do a good job solo, and but that's the main thing I wanted to say. I really enjoy the work that you and Rush did for years and years. And
well, thank you.
The work you're doing now.
Miss Rush every day. And you just said something that I want to say. You say I do the job solo now. I don't do the job solo. My team, these guys that I work with here, and the support I get with these guys, this is not a solo effort. We all make it happen.
I hear you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, John. Mike is in South Carolina. How are you? Good morning, Mike.
AKA Bo in the house. How are you doing?
Indeed. I am very well.
I think a couple calls back, I think he was tripping on himself, man. What are you tripping about, man? With my drumsticks. I got to tell you, you mentioned it before about Artemis II crew. Amazing. Was that unifying for the whole country, like you said?
It was beautiful. It is beautiful.
Beautiful. And, considering what's going on, the craziness in our country around the world. But I'll tell you what, Bo, I was laughing. I'm listening to you. My first 8-track in my first car in 1971, I was a junior in high school, 68 Camaro 327, Steppenwolf. I was laughing when he said that, and oh yeah. And who do I meet at his club? He's a friend of a relative of mine who's been on Food Channel Network. Who do I meet at his club? 20 years ago, B.B. King.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. And it's just the great vibe. I'll always love my sports, always love my music. I drove everybody crazy when I was a kid in my drum set.
I know that's right. Yeah. Man, I love it. I can drive everybody crazy now with my drum set. I just don't have time to play them. But thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. Let's see whether we have time for one more. Let's quickly head out to Port Jefferson and catch up with George. George, got about a minute. Just nail your points.
I'll go real quick. I never thought I'd feel sorry for Mr. Swalwell. A couple of weeks ago, I was reading in the paper Mayor Mandani and President Trump smiling like they were best friends. And right at that time, Aretha Franklin, the Queen's song, came on, Who's Zooming Who? If you could edit it out with a baritone, Bo, seriously, I'm not an editor. If you could edit the baritone saying Who's Zooming Who and the lady saying Who's Zooming Who, you could use that for a lot of stuff when you get crazy stories. One day you'll get a call from a man who's going to wake up and say in a ladies' room that he doesn't know how we got there. It's really almost comical. It's so outrageous. It's comical. Like, who's zooming who? Goodbye.
Who's zooming who? Let me tell you something. There was another article about the relationship. I'll have to remember where I read it, between Trump and Mandani, and it made so much sense about it. And, and one thing that Mandani has said about Trump, and you have to realize his base hates this. Mondami talks about how Donald Trump loves New York. And he says this is the thing that has them in common, that they both love New York. Now, it's amazing because we know that that's true. And everybody that knows Donald Trump's history in New York, with the exception of Democrats who can't stand anything that he does, like Greg Meeks had some other things to say, everybody knows that that's true. The guy loves New York. But that is the bond that holds the two of them together. Now, Mondami has made some moves. I wish we had time to play it right now. This new move that he's doing with this equity deal in New York, and also this report on white incomes versus black incomes, and looking at, and the funny thing about it is I actually agree with Mondami about institutional racism in New York. Democrats have been running New York almost for 200 years. And this is exactly what they have done to New York. But that part isn't being discussed. Oh, so much. Look, when we get back, we're going to catch up with Dr. G. But if you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to grab some calls when we can. James Golden, Snerdley, 800-848-9222. Our number uno in the can. Our number duo of our Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends, our number duo here on our Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe. I am James Golden, both Snerdley with you here. We have a distinct high honor right now to introduce you to somebody that millions upon millions of you already know. Known as Dr. G, Dr. Michael Guillen. He, for many, many years, was the science editor at ABC News. You saw him regularly on Good Morning America, Nightline, World News Tonight. Also, those of you, the History Channel, Where Did It Come From? The 1 hour primetime series was him, 3-time Emmy Award winner, member of the renowned Explorers Club, and more than that, just an author. So many great books. I'm reading one right now, Let Creation Speak, just one of his many books on science. Beyond all of that, I call him a friend and a brother. I love this man like you can't believe. Dr. G. Michael, good morning. How are you?
James, the feeling is entirely mutual, my friend. It's been too long, man. I'm just so looking forward to this. Thank you for having me on your show. Looking forward to our conversation, brother. Gosh, almighty.
Man, I decided, I was telling your wife, I was telling your wife, by the way, who's just also incredible and an author. We talked about her Christmas book, and we have it here. But I was telling her I wanted to leave you alone because I know you were working hard on this movie, so I didn't want to pester you while you were still in development of the movie. The movie is coming out, and I want to get to that. The Invisible Everywhere. But I want you to tell people that don't know you a bit about who you are, how you got into becoming this world-renowned physicist, mathematician, scientist, author. Where did you start? Where did it all come from, Michael?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, James. Nothing like I would have ever imagined. I'm this little Mexican kid who grew up, who was born in East Los Angeles, just like Cheech and Chong, except I'm the real deal. I really was born in East Los Angeles. And, fell madly in love with science in the second grade. I remember my teacher, Mrs. Cook. I don't know what she said, but man, I just fell head over heels in love with science, and I dreamt of becoming a scientist. And that dream took me to UCLA, then to Cornell, where I earned a PhD in physics, math, and astronomy. And then beyond that, by the grace of God, I got to teach physics at Harvard for like 8 years, won the Distinguished Teaching Award there for 2 years, and really that meant a lot to me because, I think at my heart, James, I'm a teacher. Whether I'm teaching on TV or on the radio or in a movie or in a classroom, I'm a teacher. And And then it was just really, things happened. I went to the White House twice. I went to the North Pole, the South Pole. I was the first correspondent to report live from the Antarctic to the North American continent. That was one of the reasons why I was inducted into the Explorers Club. But then I also went down to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean and almost lost my life while reporting from the Titanic. I was the first correspondent to report from the Titanic. I was the first correspondent to interview Stephen Hawking at home over there in England, and on and on and on and on. I mean, it's just been nutso. And now here I am talking to you, James Golden. I mean, it's like, I can't believe it. I've got to pinch myself. But you're right. And I have to say, apart from all my credentials, blah, 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 you really are one of my favorite people. And over the years, we've gotten to know each other. Laurel loves you, absolutely loves you. We always love hearing from you. And I know you've been always there for me and so excited about talking whatever you want to talk about, the movie, whatever. I mean, it's not just a pleasure talking to you, man. It's a joy. I've been doing nonstop media for the last 3 weeks, but this is the one I've been waiting for and looking forward to. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're so kind, Michael.
No, it's true.
Michael, I want to talk about Artemis last night. So let me begin by asking you a question, your thoughts on Artemis, and then when we come back from our break, we're going to talk about your movie and what it is. But I want to get your thoughts on Artemis, and I want to ask you a question. And I have been waiting to ask you this question, Michael.
Yeah,
Michael?
Go for it. Well, yeah. You want to ask the question, or you want me to give me just some thoughts? Go ahead, ask your question.
I'll ask the question, and then I want you to give me the thoughts, too, as you answer the question. Michael, how far is the moon, and how close is the moon? How far is the moon, but how close is it compared to the creation? How close is it, and how far is it?
Okay, I'll give you a perfect question, and here's the answer. The moon, roughly speaking, plus or minus, is about 250,000 miles away. Okay, so just think of it as 250,000 miles away. Okay, sounds like a lot, but when you think of what the radius of the universe is, it is 270 billion trillion miles. So, in other words, if you set out to go to the very edge of the observable universe, you'd have to travel 270 billion trillion miles. Now, think about this. It took Artemis 4 days to travel 250,000 miles. How long do you think it would take you to go 270 billion trillion miles, man? I don't think you're going to live long enough to do that. So that gives you a scale right off the bat. Creation is amazing, mind-blowing. And by the way, that's just the observable universe. Beyond the observable universe, there's an unobservable universe, and that we can never reach. Okay, that's a whole other conversation.
Well, that's the conversation that we're going to delve into briefly, because your movie is The Invisible Everywhere. So we're going to do that. Now, your thoughts on us going back into space, the Artemis mission. I tell you, I can't even explain to you the joy and the relief that I felt when I saw the capsule come down last night, splash down, and knowing that our astronauts were safe, especially it made me reflect on all the astronauts that we have lost in the space program, and it's a number of them. It's not an insignificant number. Not that any life is insignificant. So your thoughts on Artemis going back to space and potentially going to Mars?
Well, look, I mean, I'm a child of space program 1.0, Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and then the space shuttle, the space station. I mean, I was the first correspondent to do a live interview with the Russian cosmonauts aboard the space station Mir for Nightline. So I grew up with the space program, and it inspired me as a child. But here I am, a much older person, witnessing the renaissance, really, the revival of the space program. And when Artemis took off, James, about 10 days ago, it was on a Wednesday. Actually, it came up, I think it launched, about 10 days ago. I mean, from launch pad 39A, excuse me, that is like legendary launch pad. That's where we launched the first Apollo to the moon. I mean, I literally had tears in my eyes when those engines ignited. I mean, I'll just tell you, I had tears in my eyes. I choked up. And then, you're absolutely right. Last night, Laurel and I were sitting there watching the splashdown live. And there's that moment, you know, when they go into the atmosphere and they have what's called loss of signal, LOS, because of the plasma that surrounds the capsule as it's coming through. You know, it creates all kinds of ions in the atmosphere due to friction, and it blocks any radio signals in or out. So for 6 minutes or 6 minutes plus, we didn't know what was happening. I mean, it could have incinerated, and we would never hear from them again. And so when they acquired the signal, AOS, acquisition of signal again, and they said, you know, Houston, this is integrity, it was like, oh, thank you, Lord. And then you see that beautiful image of it just splashing down just outside of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. Man, I mean, you have to have a heart of stone not to react to that emotionally. It was emotional, and I'm excited about going back to the moon, but I wish we had gone back, you know, 50 years ago, James. I mean, but let's not dwell on the negative. The positive is we're back.
But you know something, there is a positive in that. It had gotten so people stopped watching because, like, okay, we're doing that again. Now, because of this tremendous gap of over a half a century, this is the first time a new generation of people are seeing what is possible. And it is a great thing. Michael, please hold on. When we get back, we're going to talk about your movie, and I also want to talk about, well, the movie is going to explain something about you and who you are. So when we get back, let's talk about the invisible everywhere.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And Dr. G is in the house with us, Dr. Michael Guillen. Doctor, you were an atheist. You're not. And you have a new movie, The Invisible Everywhere. Michael, tell us about your movie. Tell us why, what it is.
Yeah, well, you know, in the last segment, James, we talked about this crazy journey that I've taken as a scientist, but it got even crazier because when I fell madly in love back in the second grade, I figured, well, you know, any self-respecting would-be scientist should live by a really strict motto, seeing is believing. If I can't see something, I'm not going to believe it. And so I lived that life, and then as a teenager, I must have been late middle school, early high school, I taught myself the special theory of relativity, and it was a real kind of mic drop moment for me because I discovered that Einstein's theory was saying there are actually hidden worlds out there, invisible worlds in space-time, and it blew me away. And I talk about that in the movie. The movie basically is my journey from atheism to believing in God, and more than that, it's a journey where science shattered my atheism and opened my eyes to the existence of God. So that's what the movie is all about. But when I discovered that Einstein's theory was telling me that there are hidden worlds out there, how could I still live by the motto, seeing is believing, if I can't see these other worlds? And so I had to ditch that motto. And in the end, I discovered that the real motto I needed to live by was believing is seeing. So, for example, if I didn't even believe in the scientific method, there's no way I can prove to you that scientific method leads to reliable truths. I mean, some truths are reliable, maybe not. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I can't prove them. Science can't prove any of its major theories. All I can say is that these theories are consistent with the current evidence. So my whole world was kind of turned upside down, and it was all because of science, James. It wasn't some preacher. It wasn't anything. It was just science pointed like a giant finger to the existence of God, and that just shocked me. I didn't expect that, and that's what this movie's about.
Okay, what is the invisible everywhere?
Well, when I got to grad school, I discovered that there is the observable universe, which we talked about last time, which has a radius of about 270 billion trillion miles, right? But beyond that, beyond what we call the cosmic horizon, there is an invisible universe whose light we can never see. It's just permanently and 100% invisible to us. But the real shocker for me was that the observable universe, when you look up at the night sky and look at the stars and the galaxies and you go, ooh, and awe. Well, I learned in grad school that 95% of the observable universe is actually not observable. It's invisible to us in the form of dark matter, dark energy. And so here again, it was a real blow to my motto, seeing is believing. And so, and it wasn't just that. It was just a gradual erosion of all the things that I once believed that were no longer true, that pointed to the existence of God. So, for example, what is human consciousness? We talk about the brain. The brain is located between our two ears. That's easy. I've held a human brain in my hand. But what about the mind? The mind is very different. Where are your thoughts located? And people for many years thought that the brain generated the thoughts through electrical activity, the neurons. Well, we know better now. We know now that when people flatline, when their brain is dead, their mind keeps working. It's called terminal lucidity. And I interviewed, in the movie, I interviewed the world's leading expert, Dr. Bruce Grayson, on near-death experiences. And he was raised an atheist. And he has discovered that, yes, something lives on. It's called persistence of consciousness, that our minds, our spirits live on after we die. So all of this just conspired to point to God. The other thing is, are we alone? Or there's other life in the universe? Why is the universe wired for life? Is that a coincidence or not? These are questions I deal with in the movie. And when you see the movie, if you approach the movie with an open mind, you're going to see what happened to me as an atheist. So when you sit down and watch the movie, you're introduced to me as the atheist. And then little by little, minute by minute, over the course of an hour and 20 minutes, which is how long the movie is, you will see how modern science gradually eroded, shattered, thoroughly demolished my atheism and revealed the existence of God. It's not me preaching. It's not my opinion. You will see for yourself what modern science did to me. It turned my life upside down. And that's what makes, I think, the movie so exciting. It's not preaching. It's just all about what modern science has to say about these deep questions.
It is truly a remarkable story. And where can people find your movie, The Invisible Everywhere, Michael?
Well, because I have followers all over the world, I didn't want to just go with theaters. I did that with my previous movie, Little Red Wagon, which is distributed by Lionsgate. This is a very unconventional movie. So all people have to do, wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you believe, whatever you don't believe, just go to theinvisibleeverywhere.com. Theinvisibleeverywhere.com. It'll take you to a box office. You can rent the movie, buy the movie. You can host a screening, just like you would any four-walled theater, except that this is worldwide. Whether you're in Hungary, Thailand, the UK, wherever you are, you can watch the movie right now.
TheInvisibleEverywhere.com is where people can find this remarkable movie. Michael, our time is running out, but I have to just say up front, number one, I have to have you back now that your movie's done, because we have other things to discuss. This idea of consciousness, there was another scientist who said that human consciousness comes from another dimension. And then when you start talking about it, and we've talked about this before, these ideas of the invisible everywhere, they pop up in ancient writings from mystics. They pop up everywhere. In fact, there's so much of science that gets reflected in writings that people have just totally overlooked. And it all sort of connects. So, Michael, I want to thank you. It's theinvisibleeverywhere.com, and you will come back and join us again, please.
It'll be my honor. God bless you and your listeners, James. You are amazing. That's why I love talking to you. You have a mind that is just amazing. God bless you. Until the next time, man.
God bless you, Michael, too. I just love it. Folks, he is just such a gem, isn't he? He's just so wonderful. Dr. G. I love this man so much. The movie is The Invisible Everywhere. And I'll tell you what, a journey from a scientific atheist to a believer. Science proves the existence of God. It is remarkable. James Golden, Snerdley, your calls are coming up. We've got other stuff to do. Princess Di is also coming up. So keep it right here. Don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news to get to. California Congressman and candidate for Governor Eric Swalwell facing allegations of sexual assault.
They come from a former staff member, and our political reporter Josh Haskell is here now with the story and its implications for the governor's race. Josh.
Philip and Giovanna, the Swalwell campaign is in crisis right now. 3 days ago, Congressman Eric Swalwell, who is one of the Democratic frontrunners in the race for governor, denied accusations of inappropriate behavior with female staffers. But the accusations made by a former staffer to the San Francisco Chronicle today have those in the race and some of the biggest names in California politics calling for Swalwell to drop out. A former Eric Swalwell congressional staffer told the San Francisco Chronicle that she was sexually assaulted by Swalwell on 2 occasions in 2019 and in 2024. The woman, who remains anonymous, says she was hired at 21 years old to work as an intern in Swalwell's district office, and that Swalwell began pursuing her and sent her images of his genitalia, according to the article. In 2019, she says she went out for drinks with Swalwell and woke up naked the next morning, also according to the article. A lawyer representing Swalwell has filed a cease and desist letter on behalf of the congressman sent to the alleged victim. KBC has not been able to independently verify the allegations made to the Chronicle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait for you to hear Princess Diana and her analysis of what's happening with Swalwell. We're going to take some telephone calls. People have been waiting. I'm going to do that, and hopefully we're going to get to some sound bites here. I want to thank Dr. Michael Guillen again, Dr. G. Folks, when I tell you I love this man, I think you hear it, and you hear this relationship that he and I have built, and his wife is so wonderful too. She's been with us before, especially around Christmas time. Laurel with the Bellwether story, and for Christmas, it is just he's just such a wonderful human being, and this movie, The Invisible Everywhere, I think is going to move the needle in terms of the science community. And that's what my hope is. He is just an amazing physicist. He's an amazing experimental physics, 3D PhD. Mathematics, he has a PhD. He has a PhD in astronomy, and he has a PhD in physics. He's just such a brilliant mind, but also just such a wonderful, loving human being. So I'm just still gushing and smiling. Every time I talk with Michael, I have that. He's just incredible. Let us head to the telephones, shall we? And catch up with, let's see, people have been waiting. Let's catch up with Vince in New York. Vince, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. To your point, please.
So my point is just one. I am very upset about most commentators, especially on the news, about calling boots on the ground. These aren't boots on the ground. I think it started with Obama. They're human beings, men and women, not boots on the ground. These servicemen should be considered an individual, not a boot. And that's all I've got to say.
Well, let me just say this. I don't think the phrase started with Obama. That phrase has been around almost as long as I can remember in describing what it means to, in describe. Okay, well, I'm just saying, first of all, I respect what you said, and I understand what you said. And now, if I can just finish what I wanted to say about it, please.
Sure.
Which is that I don't think that people mean that in a demeaning way. I think it's a descriptive way to say that something that we've all believed, that you cannot win a war unless you put military personnel on that soil to actually capture and occupy and do defeat. That was the thinking. And so that phrase grew as a shorthand way of saying you can't win a war unless you're willing to commit troops to take the ground. Now, I think that we may be entering a new phase of warfare in humanity. And I think that phrase may eventually become obsolete. If you look at what's happening in robotics, if you look what's happening with drone warfare now, we are at a point in the evolution of warfare. I mean, when people saw the Star Wars thing, the Clone Wars, people might think, well, that's ridiculous. I don't know whether it is ridiculous anymore. Because we may be reaching the point through robotics and through technology where military troops on the ground to take ground may not be necessary in the future.
So you don't think I'll have to listen to that awful, because there's so much wasted verbiage. They can't say troops or soldiers or men and women. They have to boots on the ground. Like I said, Vincent, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm just offering what I said is a way of explaining the shorthand, why it was used, and more importantly, I think the context. But I think we may be at a day, Vince, where you will not have to listen to it. Okay. Thanks for listening.
Vince, thank you. And I appreciate your sensitivity, and I love that, because these are human beings. And the only time, and they should be remembered as being human beings, is not just when they're brought home with flags draped over their coffins and then we turn solemn. I appreciate the sensitivity that you have to the people that sacrifice to put their lives in harm's way for a cause or for their country. And so thank you, Vince. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. Let's go to Minnesota and check in with John. John, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sir James. So great to talk to you again. I'm very concerned about the direction that the so-called negotiations have been going with Iran. I think the president's being played once again. He said a while back they wanted 7 days. I gave them 10. Now he's given them 14. We know what we want. The negotiations should consist of, we go in there and tell them, this is what we want. You've got 48 hours. And then not announce what he's going to do, but just do it. Time is running out. People are not going to tolerate this going on into summer, and there's going to be a hell of a price to pay in the midterm elections. What are your thoughts?
Let me ask you a question. How long did it take to conclude the war in Iraq, Gulf War I and Gulf War II?
Well, it took years, but he and
okay. Hold on. Let me ask you another question. Before you go, let me ask you another question. How long did it take to conclude the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War? How long did it, when you go past that, to conclude World War I, World War II? Look, we have been in this mission for right now, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And in 6 weeks' time, they are negotiating, whether we like what the negotiations are producing or not, whether there's zigzagging going on. And yeah, there is zigzagging going on. That's the nature of anything other than an unconditional surrender. Now, if we did what Donald Trump threatened to do, not so graciously, by the way, to end their civilization or destroy all of their infrastructure, and that is not also a desirable outcome here, because we want to be in a position where we do not give up the moral high ground. So there's going to be zigzagging. I am sympathetic to what you're saying about, midterms coming up, but that can't be the consideration here. Donald Trump is doing what no other American president has had the testosterone to do, which is to get rid of a 47-year-old problem. Go ahead.
He set the timeline, and speak softly and carry a big stick was good over a century ago. He's got to be careful with the language, like you pointed out. He gets pretty reckless with the language and says too much.
Don't look at what he says, look at what he's doing. He's not speaking. Princess Diana makes this point, and I think all of us should heed it. Many of the things that Donald Trump says are not for the American voters' consumption. They are for the consumption of his enemies. So, are the enemies of the United States. So when he makes statements to them, your civilization is going to be gone in 48 hours, or he says something else, it's not necessarily for us that those remarks are targeted to. They are targeted to the people and their allies that are still waging war against us. And so all I'm saying is, look, the guy is doing something that no other American president has had the BALLS to do, to stop a 47-year-old Cold War that has been waged against the United States of America. You can at least, and we can give him more than 6 weeks to do it.
You're 100% right there, but he's the one that set the timeline. These negotiations in Pakistan this weekend are going to be critical, and I don't understand why Rubio isn't involved. He's the one that really has a handle on foreign relations. So let's wait. I'm patient.
How do you know Rubio's not involved? How do you know he and J.D. Vance aren't coordinating? How do you know? We don't know that.
Well, I'm going to be patient and wait till see what happens this weekend. But time is running out. People are not going to accept this going on into summer. He's the one that set the timeline.
Okay, guess what? When the summer comes, if we're still there and nothing is moved, then maybe you're right. People won't accept it. I have a feeling that by summertime we're going to be moving on to the next scandal for the mainstream press on how they can get rid of Trump. That's what I think. And I'm not worried about the timeline right now.
You're 100% right, and I don't understand why all of a sudden he's getting all this criticism, especially when Hillary Clinton years ago said if she was president, she would bomb Iran. He's the one that's doing what the others said they would do.
That's right. And some of the others didn't even say that they would do it. Look, I so appreciate your call. Thank you. I hope to hear from you again. Kate is calling in from the state of Connecticut. Good morning, Kate. How are you? Turn off the radio. Turn off the radio, please. Okay, do we have you, Kate? Okay. Thank you. Kate's not there. Perhaps we'll reach her again. Let's go to Long Island and catch up with Greg. How are you, Greg?
I'm well, Bo. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
I was listening earlier to pardon me, I've forgotten the name of the movie already, about a doctor that... The
Invisible Everywhere.
Okay, and it just reminded me of a book that I read a while ago by Dr. Francis Collins called The Language of God. And in the book, Dr. Collins, first of all, the prologue of the book starts out about how when he was giving a speech, accepting an award from Bill Clinton, he was told not to mention God in his acceptance speech. His problem was that he had been raised by scientists, was interested in science, and as a scientist, he sought to prove to himself that there was no God, and in doing so, became a firm believer in God.
Man, that is an amazing story.
The James Golding Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to be a downer here, but I don't want the time to get away and me not play this. We're going to listen to something that is maybe disturbing to some, but I found it just amazing. The New York Times columnist and author Russ Duthat had an interview with former Congressman Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse has terminal cancer, and I was amazed when I saw the shots. His face is covered with sores to the point he looks so disfigured. But it was just amazing. It was an amazing interview, and I want to play some of it now for you. Again, I'm just going to say this is kind of out of the comfort zone of a lot of people. Cut 13, and let's see whether we can play most of this before we have to leave for the hour. Here's
I was incredibly blessed to be quickly at peace. I kept hearing the Pauline phrase, to live is Christ, to die is gain. And death is terrible. We should never sugarcoat it. It is not how things are meant to be. But it is great that death can be called the final enemy. It's an enemy, but it's a final enemy, and there will then be no more tears. I believe in the resurrection, and I believe in a restoration of this world. And so I did not feel great fear about my death. I didn't want the pain I was going through. I didn't want to be a pansy ass, in the final moments.
You're doing okay right now with that.
I am doing
so far.
Oh, thank you. But I did immediately feel regrets about a lot of misprioritization. You jokingly referred earlier to my podcast, which takes its line from Monty Python, Not Dead Yet. We're all on the clock, and I wanted to have prioritized better. And whether I really only had 3 or 4 months left, or if I get 9 to 12 months left, I want to prioritize better from then. But in my tradition, in Christianity, the need for daily repentance is just a truth. I am broken. I leave undone those things which I ought to have done, and I do those things which I have not done. Morphine. And there is no health in us. And I get to repent every day of both my sins of omission and commission. And yet, at a slightly bigger level, if you're only going to get 3 or 4 months, you really want to get some of your affairs in order. And my boy was only 14, and I felt a heaviness. I knew that God wasn't surprised by the diagnosis. There is not a maverick molecule in the universe, but I didn't like the idea of my 14-year-old son not having a dad around at 16. I didn't like the idea of my daughters, who are 22 and 24, not having their dad there to walk them down the aisle. And I felt a real heaviness about that. But I've continued to feel a peace about the fact that death is something that we should hate. We should call it a wicked thief. And yet it's pretty good that you pass through the vale of tears one time, and then there will be no more tears. There will be no more cancer.
Can I ask how you think your kids are processing the experience?
They have a great mom, and they are theologically rooted, and their hope is in Jesus, and they all 3 are doing really well. My girls are 22 and 24, and I know that our conversations are the true and accurate conversations. My 14-year-old son is gritty enough and tough enough that I think even if he wasn't doing well, he could probably fake it. Yeah. So I don't fully know, so I covet prayers on that, but he seems to be doing well. Now, again, I know many in this audience, some are not Christian, and so I understand that, and I'm not playing it in an attempt to proselytize to you. This is so real, I wanted to play it for you. Because he's not hiding. He's not hiding what this has done to him. It has ravaged his body, and you can see it. But his spirit, his optimism, his perspective is, and Ross did an amazing job interviewing him. It was just something I thought you might want to listen to, regardless of whether you share his views on faith or not.
And for those that do share his views on faith, it is a powerful message. But this is courage, the way he's facing his life. We'll be back.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Victims of sexual assault, people who deserve to be heard, who deserve for their allegations to be investigated. For Brett Kavanaugh's sake, if he is innocent, I hope tomorrow he opens his statement and says, you know what, bring in all the victims, allow them to be heard, allow them to be questioned. That will clear his name if he's indeed innocent, and if he's not, for the sake of the credibility of the court, I hope that the senators would vote against him. This person committed these horrific acts, or he is the single unluckiest person in the world for these people to conspire and make up lies against him.
I wonder who the single most unluckiest person in the world is today. That was Eric Swalwell back then. Right now, ladies and gentlemen,
it's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
Who is with us in hour number trio, the Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe with the Ness. The goodness, the wonderfulness, the analysis, Ness. The reason, Ness. That we only get, especially the analysis, Ness, from Princess Di, and I can't wait to hear the analysis of the Falwell Ness mess from our very own Princess Diana, who is in the house. Welcome, Your Highness.
Oh, Sir James, it's so wonderful to speak with you. We need to edit that fanfare, which is always hilarious, and we've got to add you in there as the Duke of Democracy. So, you know, that needs to be adjusted.
Oh, we'll see what else. Thank you. We'll push right there. So, all right, I'm not buying this. Oh, so let me not go. The accusations that have been leveraged against Eric Swalwell. I find some of the accusations a bit disturbing. I'm quite disturbed by the story that we are being asked to. I don't want to use the word swallow in this context. That could have the story that we are being asked to believe from this victim of Eric Swalwell. I have problems with it, Princess Diana.
Okay, well, I think your instincts are just dead on correct. Because, as you said earlier in the program, this story does not make sense if you start looking at the details and taking it apart. And as I said this week, it's because it's a political operation. This is Democrat politics 101, right out of the handbook. This is what they do with an inconvenient political person. And it has been done many times before and often successfully, but not always successfully. And so if you remember, Al Franken was the victim of a very similar operation, and he ended up in the Me Too era. He resigned his Senate seat in 2018. He said he was going to resign in January of 2018. And absolutely came to regret it. And all of the people who are supporters of Al Franken said he shouldn't have resigned. And I think your instincts, when you were looking at all of the people calling for Swalwell to resign from the gubernatorial race in California, it made you want to have him stay in. That is exactly right. We need to support Swalwell. Do not resign. He can weather this storm because the voters are sick of this. The voters
I can't believe what I'm hearing from my own Princess Diana and me too. Listen, we need to support Swalwell.
Listen, Absolutely. He's inconvenient because of the polling in the California race. We've got two Republicans who are heading for it's jungle primary runoff, which is June 2nd. And the top two get to advance to they will run against each other, the top two. And if it's two Republicans, California will have a Republican governor for the first time since Schwarzenegger in 2008, I believe it was. And so the Democrat Party cannot abide this. So they are trying to consolidate the opposition. They know Swalwell is vulnerable. And there are 51 Democrat candidates running for governor, and just the top Democrat. And so we've got Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, who is the Riverside County Sheriff, as the two Republicans who both are at a tie, about 14%. Trump endorsed Steve Hilton on Monday, so that will shake up the race. I have not seen any polling since then, deliberately. You know they're not going to poll that because it's going to make the Democrats even more vulnerable. And so the Democrat Party looked at the whole slate of candidates. They know Swalwell has problems. These problems have been known in Washington, D.C., that he is a sleaze, that he is a serial harasser of his staff and other women for years. And so they are pulling this card, as they do when necessary. They brought out Christine Blasey Ford of the High Voice, and they brought out E. Jean Carroll. These are ops from the Democrat Party. And so they are hoping to eliminate problems, and the candidates can weather these situations if they hang in there. And so the fact that the Democrats want him to go tells you that he is a danger to the Democrat success within the state of California, which they have owned for decades, in the assembly. And so this is a very significant vulnerability they have. And so this is what they decided to do. They decided to get rid of Eric Swalwell, who is a problem, in hopes that they can consolidate the other 51 Democrat candidates and possibly either Tom Steyer, who is a white stiff. He is just the most boring guy. He's an environmentalist. Or Katie Porter, who are the other top-tier members of the candidacy who are running for California governor. So there's many, many other candidates who will need to drop out, and so I would imagine the Democrat pressure on all of them so that now I've seen that the betting markets are thinking that it's going to be Tom Steyer who will get all of these Democrats' votes. There are still 24% undecided in California, which is why this race is so fluid and which is why they decided to take out Swalwell themselves. And so I think, as you had mentioned, we need to basically support Swalwell so that we can get a Republican governor in California. That, to me, is the answer to all of this.
Good grief. My friends, yes, it has come to this. Princess Diana and the Duke of Democracy are both saying that Eric Swalwell needs to stay in the hunt. Yes. Don't give up, Eric. Stay in there.
A groundswell for Swalwell. And listen, James, I have been wanting to ask you a related question because I have been wondering why the New York Times took off after Cesar Chavez. They did a takedown similarly of Cesar Chavez, who has been a Democrat hero for a long time, has had schools named after him, streets named after him. He's been championed. And the New York Times went after him on the March 18th, and all of California, which had been celebrating him and had, holidays after him, all of a sudden backed away from him. And I want to know why. It's a similar thing with Swalwell, who was taken down by the San Francisco Chronicle. These are leftist mouthpieces, both New York Times and San Francisco Chronicle, who are being used by the Democrat Party to take down with sexual peccadillos their once possible heroes. And I was wondering what your thought, the reason was they wanted to take down Cesar Chavez.
Immigration, period. Cesar Chavez was an outspoken opponent of illegal immigration. That is now the central issue in the Democrat Party survival, especially in California. Because if the continued trend, if ICE goes back into California, especially Los Angeles' entire economic foundations are falling apart. And anything that can be used against the forces that want illegal immigration have to be gone, including Cesar Chavez. And this has been a long-standing boiling point with a lot of Democrats with Cesar Chavez. As you just mentioned of what they knew about Eric Swalwell, they knew this about Cesar Chavez for decades.
Yes. This is why I'm asking the question.
Right.
Because, they decided to pull the triggers metaphorically on this guy now. And I disagree that is what you said is true. He was vehemently anti-illegal immigration. However, this has been a long-standing hero of the left for many other reasons, farm workers. And so his legacy is not particularly tied to that one position he took. And it was a quiet issue. Why would they then go after him now and make that visible, whereas it was not?
Well, again, I don't think so. I can't think of any other reason why they would. Now, what they're doing instead is making it about the movement, not about the person. Dolores Huerta is not going to be granted the same sort of, she's co-founder, but they're not going to have the Dolores Huerta Day. They're not going to have they're going to remove his name and just have it as a movement. And I do think, though, I really do think it does surround the immigration debate in this country. They're just not going to have it. That's the only thing I can think of. Now, if there's some other reason, I'm going to have to just scratch the old brain and see what comes up.
Well, I think that's probably part of it, but I've been meaning to talk that out with you because to me, it was one of those let sleeping dogs lie on that one.
Nope. And they went full throttle. Full throttle. The New York Times went full throttle. I read the story. It was full throttle. We are going to destroy him.
Yes, because he was sexually abusing 13-year-old girls. I mean, this was, underage women. This was not adult women. This was underage girls that he was involved with. And his name is dirt now, which it should have been all along, but they covered it up as they covered it up and rallied around Bill Clinton. So it's very selective. When they want to get rid of someone, this is what they pull, and Swalwell is the victim of it.
Wow. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
According to Chairman Kaine, but you mentioned the 8 previous conflicts that Trump tackled. So Democrats are already saying that this is taco. Trump always chickens out. Let me give you another acronym. Nacho. Never avoids confronting hard obstacles. And that's exactly what President Trump did.
I'm hungry.
He went in.
I
made that up on my own.
That's pretty good.
Because I was thinking about the opposite of what that would be. He didn't chicken out. He's willing to confront what previous presidents for 47 years couldn't do to stand up to him. And look,
James Golden, Snerdley, Princess Diana is in the house. Trump, the nacho president, not the taco president. Which I agree with, by the way, wholeheartedly. Princess, want to change the topic for a minute. I just want to get you taking something totally unrelated to anything we've discussed thus far. Okay? I want you to listen to a soundbite. You know, I always have you listen to soundbites. You're the princess of policy, but you are the queen of language. It is you yes, language and its use. I want you to listen to a social media woman with her take on something I had never heard of before, which is called, this is cut 17, language supremacy.
Language supremacy says that only spoken language is language. It's a byproduct of capitalist and colonial culture that tries to embolden only English and languages that are more from Western influences. Language justice shows us that all language is language. Body language, vocalization, stems are forms of language. It's up to us as a community and a society to learn languages in order to be fully inclusive and accessible for folks who communicate through body language and vocalizations. Because it is a broad reach of how language is interpreted and spoken within each different individual. Different ways that arms are moved, that stems, the body language, vocalizations, eye movements, mouth movements, finger, toes, is all part of a language.
So, the way you interpret it, how do you interpret her remarks? Princess Diana, vocalizations, and how do you interpret it?
Is this the same woman who just said that white milk is also a term from white supremacy?
I don't know. I get them confused.
I believe it's from the same speech. Anyway, I have got to say, the English language is one of the most dynamic and fascinating and interesting language. There's a reason why it is the language of the world. It's of communication now. It's because it embraces all other cultures. The terminologies that have come into our daily use come from everywhere. And it's one of the rare things that our language accepts terms and uses them and embraces them. And so our language is the English language is the most dynamic and varied. And the reason that it is so universal is because it has that kind of elasticity and terminologies that will be embraced of all the world cultures. When a term becomes necessary around the world, it will be in the English language. And the English language is not staid and static and basically frozen. It moves and is the dynamic language of dynamic people.
So we don't need language justice because the language is from capitalism?
Well, if she wants to speak another language, no one's stopping her.
Oh, yeah, well, a lot of liberals speak another language.
Yes. The liberals always want to police our language, and they need to just stop because they invent terms and then require us all, like Latinx, or I don't even know how you say it. They just declare that we can't say this term, we have to say that term, and they become the language police, and that is antithetical to the natural development of the English language.
All right, Princess, stay there. We're going to take some calls when we get back. Also, Lord Baltimore, by the way, Matt, wants you to know that yesterday was the 56th anniversary of Paul quitting the Beatles. That was yesterday, the anniversary of that. 56th anniversary. Although they had broken up earlier, yesterday was the day the world found out. And I remember John Lennon said, he didn't quit, we fired him. Something to that effect. But anyway, Beatle history. Lord Baltimore is an expert at Beatle history. He ought to write a book on the Beatles. I saw a picture of Lord Baltimore recently with his family. He looks like a hippie.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, Princess Diana, it is time for us to grab a telephone call or two. Silas has been waiting from Staten Island. Silas, you're on with Princess Diana. You're on with Bo Snerdley. How are you?
First when you...
Yeah, what hell?
Who had wrote a book about...
Okay, I'm losing you in and out. Let's start all over again, because I didn't get half of what you said. It just went. So let's start again. Hold on. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Hi, Silas. You're on with Princess Diana and with Bo Snerdley. How are you today?
Okay. I forgot the name of the guy who wrote the book about he finally started believing in God. And I always believed in, I didn't believe in a bearded man in the sky, but I have always believed in the Creator. And it just has warmed my heart to see somebody come into that same belief that all of this was not a big mistake. And we will be the people who, when we smarten up and learn to get along, we will be the people who will populate the galaxy. And another thing I wanted to say about the sex scandals, yeah, that's their biggest ace card. And even though I don't like Swalwell, it's a bunch of hooey. And I'm so glad that you and Greg Kelly have put the lie to this stupid Epstein crap. It was nothing but a big pimp operation. And those women were not 12 years old, and they were voluntarily going to get the money. I'm just so glad that I hope everybody's smartened up to that crap.
Thank you, Silas. By the way, the name you're looking for, Dr. G, Michael Guillen. The movie is The Invisible Everywhere. He has tons of books out on the market, too. So appreciate it. Chris in the Catskills, you're on with Princess Diana and with Snerdley. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. With the Eric Swalwell situation, I think what voters in California should take out of it, whether or not the accusations are true or untrue, there's a situation where he, as a member of the House of Representatives, apparently chose to go out and experience in drinking behaviors where a subordinate under him it consumed copious amounts of alcohol on numerous occasions in his presence. Now, perhaps as a member of the House of Representatives, it's a lower standard, but when you're the administrator of the largest state in the country, there's going to be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of subordinates under you, and I think the voters should look at it from that perspective, that it's a much higher standard that he has to live to being governor of California.
Princess Di, what do you say about that?
Well, I think a much lower standard applies to the situation. He's a Democrat politician. And also, do not forget that he had an affair with a Chinese spy, Fang Fang, and remained on the Intelligence Committee for years afterwards. She left the country in 2016, and he wasn't kicked off the Intel Committee until 2023. So the standards for behavior in Washington, D.C., especially if you're a Democrat, are low. I think that's the least you can be said.
Now, as for people being under him, apparently some of them are well, no, never mind. Not going to go there. I'll leave it there, Chris. Thank you for the call. Andrew is calling in from New Jersey. And good morning. Andrew, you're on with Princess Diana. You're on with the Duke of Democracy, James Golden Snerdley. How are you?
Hi, Snerdley. Yeah.
You're not going to say hi to Princess Di? Hold on. We can't be rude. You must say hi to Her Highness. We don't want her to be offended.
Oh, okay. Princess Di, whatever your real name is.
That's her real name.
That is my real name.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Name.
Well, okay, anyway, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, anyway, I've been listening to this station for at least 12 years, and I'm surprised I'm surprised there's no disclaimer saying that this station has nothing to do with WABC Channel 7, because as you know, this station and that channel.
Well, number one, hold on a minute, yeah? Because this is off track. It says that you want to talk about Mondami's first 100 days. WABC is our flagship station. This show goes around many outlets in the country. And so you're talking about New York, okay? And yes, it is not part of, there is no more ABC in the way that ABC was. What ABC spread out all their properties all over. Now Disney owns the television stations for now. I don't know why they want to keep them, but, the radio station was bought by Red Apple and they say so. It's not a big secret. So anyway, what else you got for us, Andrew?
Well, when I tell people to listen to this station, they just assume it has something to do with, WABC TV. Because they don't know any better.
It doesn't.
No, I know that, and you know that.
It doesn't.
A lot of people don't know that.
Anyway, what's the point? We're losing time. Valuable time that things away.
All right, point number 2. Yeah, yesterday was Mondami's first 100 days.
Yeah.
And, of course, the people on Channel 7 think he's doing great, and we all know he's not. So, well, that was my point.
Okay. Mondami, I'm glad thank you for getting to it, because I want to play something for Princess Dory and play something for our audience. This is that cut 28, Matt, Matt, cut 28. It's time for Mondami. Here he is.
There's a report in City and State today about how your administration removed DEI language from the racial equity report that you released this week. Why was that decision made, and do you support that decision?
So I want to be very clear. Our administration inherited a report that the prior administration had refused to release, a report that had been heavily diluted over many rounds of revisions. We took the time to strengthen this report to ensure that it was actually an accurate reflection of the city that we all love and know as our home, and to actually release this report within the first 100 days. Now, in this report, what we've seen, it's a report that is both coupled with a true cost of living report, is that the inequities in this city, the racial inequities, are stark. We are talking about findings that have shown that the wealth of a median white household in this city is more than $200,000, while that of a black household is less than $20,000. This is not an indictment of any one New Yorker. It is an indictment, however, of policies and politics that have persisted for far too long. Our commitment now is to act upon these findings, to do so in concert with New Yorkers' comments, as we've now opened a public comment period for the next 30 days to ensure...
All right, enough of that. I don't want to care about your... Blah, 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 blah. Princess Di. There has been inequity in all these years, and I'm not blaming anybody. It's just been politics, and the inequities have been going on for far too long. White families get $200K. The other people have $20,000. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think he should, institute free grocery stores and free buses. I think that should be his plan. Oh, wait. James, did you notice how boring he's gotten? Oh, my God, he actually fell asleep. This is a guy who has lost his gift of gab. It's just like he's starting to talk political speak and,
Here's what I think about this. I agree with Mondami about this.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I do. I'm not kidding. I agree. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, even though blacks have a higher household income than whites and queens, it doesn't translate to the other 4 boroughs. So, here's the thing. There is institutional racism in New York against black and white families. And the institutional racism has gone on for far too long. In fact, it's gone on for about 200 years too long. The 200 years plus that Democrats have run New York City. They have been racist. They have spent 200 years oppressing black people. And I think it's time for the Democrat Party to be held to account. I think that we need to go back and throw every single Democrat that has been involved in this institutional oppression of black families in jail and demand reparations.
I have no disagreement with a word, especially when it comes to schools.
Right. You people have made sure that black kids cannot get educated. You people have made sure that criminals roam the streets and play on black people. Pray. You people have made sure that you have taxed the wealth away from black people with your taxes so that white people have been able to hang in there because they just got a little bit more and you want to take it from them too. But you've taken the money from black people so that they can't get wealthy.
Bingo.
You people have done everything that you can to destroy black people in New York. And the Democrat Party is responsible for all of it.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
As you liberal policies, women and minorities hardest hit.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you. Okay, now let's see what else we got here. Jim is calling in from Massachusetts. Whoa, Massachusetts. How you like it up there, Jim? Your life must be fun.
It's a lot of fun. Hello, lady.
Hello.
Lady
Princess Di.
Hi,
Mm-hmm.
Princess Di.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who you are, but as we say up here in Massachusetts, you're wicked smart.
That's a compliment. You know, I learned one sentence from Massachusetts, and this is it. The bubbler is wicked cold, which means the water fountain.
Wicked. Okay, what I wanted to talk about was our European neutrals. Not the allies, our neutrals.
It's time, Princess Diana, I am of the firm impression, it sounds like hyperbole and it's not, but I'm at the point where let's get the hell out of NATO. Let's just stop the farce and just get out of it.
Yep. I think it's already happened. I actually think NATO has collapsed. It's like, you know, from the Roadrunner cartoon when the coyote runs over the cliff and it's not until he looks down that he falls, that gravity takes hold. I think NATO has run over the cliff and it doesn't know it and the world doesn't know it, but it has already collapsed. I think that the world has moved on. We have an absolutely new dynamic under President Trump, and that, you know, old system, which was really instituted to hold America back, is over.
Yeah, I think it's like the Japanese walking out of the league moment, or the Haile Selassie moment in the league.
Be careful here, because be careful here as we take a stroll through history. Can be dangerous sometimes. Jim.
Can I just make a point about our European neutrals? Is that
quickly? Yes,
if you
please.
go look at the battle map or the disposition map of October the 3rd, 1939. It was an open road to Berlin, and they didn't do it. They called it the phony war. Now, the United States has had a 47-year phony war with these people. And the president got, as an analogy, got word that there was a massive armored buildup behind the Ardennes, and he blew it up. Okay, it's similar. It's the exact same thing.
You know what? I'd love to pursue this a little bit further, but we're up against a commercial break, so I can't. We have to take a break. I appreciate where this is going, especially the Ardennes. You know, you're talking my language there when you start talking the Ardennes and blowing it up.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Princess Diana, I want to try to squeeze in one more call from Buffalo, New York, home of my birth. Kevin is in Buffalo. Welcome.
Good morning to both your majesties.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning to both your majesties. Can you tell me, what's your take on Kathy Hochul in a roundabout way trying to make all of us pay this reparations thing? You know, the biggest slave trader in history was an African, Pharaoh. White, black, he was a real DEI guy. He didn't care where he came from. And it's historical. You can't dispute that. I mean, what's your take on that, folks? Thank you.
Okay.
Off the air. God bless.
Thank you so much for the call from Buffalo. Princess Diana on Kathy Hochul. Reparations. Democrats and reparations. Princess?
In liberal areas, and it means that more people are moving to Florida and Texas is what it means.
I'm so happy you said that. I have a question for you. By the way, Lord Baltimore weighed in on the other thing with he said that we all need to take a stand on institutional racism by refusing to pay taxes. Paying those taxes only feeds institutions that are racist. Power to the people or something or like that.
I highly do not recommend that.
Me either. Okay, I have to ask you this because time's running out real quick. So here's the question. All of this fraud that's going on in California, all these millionaires are going to not have millions. We have billions of dollars here. They talk about what happens when a billionaire leaves the state. What happens to an economy, Princess Di, when all of these fraudulent millionaires and billionaires are going to be swept out?
Wow, that is an interesting question, but it leads me to remind you that one of the policies that a lot of these states are instituting is a Berlin Wall erected economically so that that billionaires and millionaires cannot take their money out of these states. They're going to have to pay huge penalties. I think some of these states are already doing it. So it just shows the socialist commie nature of these Democrat governorships.
Absolutely. We'll have to leave it there, Princess Di, because we got to go.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?